Your driveway is cracking. Your garage foundation is showing stress fractures. The overpass you drove under this morning is rusting from the inside out. And the engineers who built it, they gave it 50 years, maybe 100 if you're lucky. Now look at this. The Pantheon, built in 125 AD, a concrete dome 43 meters across, wider than any dome built before or since. No steel reinforcement, no rebar, no expansion joints. It weighs 4,535 metric tons. It has not been repaired since antiquity. And in January 2023, researchers at MIT confirmed something that sounds like science fiction. That concrete, it's still repairing itself. Every crack that forms, every drop of rainwater that seeps through, a chemical process triggers inside the material that seals the damage automatically. The concrete doesn't just endure, it regenerates. So here's the question nobody in the construction industry wants you to ask. If they could build something like that 1,900 years ago, why does your driveway look like a war zone after 5 winters? The answer isn't that we got unlucky. It isn't that we forgot the recipe by accident. The answer is that we chose speed over permanence. We chose cheap over lasting. And we've been paying for that choice with crumbling bridges, failing foundations, and a $3.7 trillion infrastructure repair bill every single decade since. But the recipe still exists. The science is now confirmed, and by the end of this video you'll understand exactly what was lost, how it worked, and why the most advanced concrete ever made was invented not in a modern laboratory, but in the volcanic fields of ancient Italy. Before we go back 2,000 years, you need to understand what's happening right now. The American Society of Civil Engineers released its 2025 infrastructure report card. The overall grade for United States infrastructure is a C. That is the best grade the country has ever received since they started issuing report cards in 1998. The first grade, in 1998, was a D. More than 42,000 bridges across the country are classified as structurally deficient. That's federal data, updated 2024. 168 million vehicle trips cross those deficient bridges every single day. The average bridge in America is 47 years old. Most were designed for a 50-year service life. They are not getting stronger. And here's the part that should genuinely frustrate you. Modern concrete doesn't just crack because of age. It cracks because of the very material we embed inside it to make it stronger. Steel reinforcement, rebar. When moisture penetrates concrete, and it always does eventually, it reaches the steel. The steel corrodes. And when steel corrodes, it expands. It pushes outward with enormous force from the inside. The concrete splits open. The reinforcement that was supposed to provide tensile strength becomes the mechanism of destruction. Every bridge you see with rust stains bleeding down the support columns, you're watching that process happen in real time. Now consider this. The Ponce Fabricius in Rome was built in 62 BC. It spans the Tiber River. It still carries pedestrian traffic today. The original inscriptions from the builder are still legible on the arches. No rebar, no Portland cement, no expansion joints. Over 2,080 years old. Something doesn't add up. And the answer starts not in a laboratory, but in the volcanic landscape beneath ancient Rome. The landscape of West Central Italy is volcanic. Rome stands on thick deposits of a soft, porous rock laid down by prehistoric eruptions, and scattered throughout that volcanic landscape was a reddish, gravelly sand that Roman masons discovered, by trial and error, made exceptionally strong mortar when combined with water and lime. They called it Pozzolana, named after the town of Pozzuoli near Naples, and what they built with it changed the architecture forever. Roman concrete, opus cementitium, had 3 core ingredients: volcanic ash, quicklime, and aggregate. The aggregate varied depending on what they were building: heavy basalt and travertine for foundations, lightweight pumice and ceramic fragments for vaults and domes, reducing weight exactly where it mattered most. That's why the Pantheon dome gets lighter as it rises. That wasn't luck, that was engineering, but the volcanic ash was the key. Unlike the river sand or crushed stone used in modern concrete, which just sits there inertly, the volcanic ash in Roman concrete stayed chemically active for centuries. When the ash contacted hydrated lime in the presence of water, it triggered what scientists now call a pozzolanic reaction. This created calcium silicate hydrate and calcium aluminosilicate hydrate binders the molecular glue that held everything together. The primary cementing mineral that formed was something called aluminous tobermorite, a layered mineral that grows as fine fibres and interlocking plates, reinforcing the concrete from the inside like a microscopic scaffold. And in Roman maritime structures, harbour piers, breakwaters, the great port of Sebastos, something even more remarkable happened. When seawater percolated through the concrete, it didn't destroy it, it made it stronger. The seawater reacted with the volcanic ash and lime to grow tobermorite and phillipsite crystals directly inside the pore spaces and microcracks, filling them, reinforcing them, making the structure denser over time. Modern concrete exposed to seawater forms ettringite crystals, which are 2.5 times the size of their precursors. They expand, they crack the concrete from within. Roman concrete thrived on the same exposure that destroys ours. One material treats the environment as an enemy to be sealed out. The other treats it as a partner in an ongoing chemical conversation. That difference is everything. For 200 years, scientists thought they understood the Roman recipe. Volcanic ash, lime, water. Simple. Except every time modern engineers tried to recreate it, the concrete they made never performed like the Roman original. It cracked, it aged, it behaved like Portland cement with a slightly different flavour. Something was missing, and the missing piece had been hiding in plain sight the entire time, dismissed by every researcher who encountered it as evidence of sloppy workmanship. Inside every sample of Roman concrete scattered throughout the material were small, bright white chunks, millimetre-scale deposits of calcium. Scientists called them lime clasts. And for decades the accepted explanation was embarrassing. The Romans apparently just hadn't stirred properly. Professor Admir Masick at MIT wasn't satisfied with that answer. As he put it, if the Romans invested that much effort into creating the most outstanding construction material in history, following recipes they had optimized over centuries, why would they be careless about mixing? So his team applied a technique called multi-scale correlative chemical mapping to Roman concrete samples from a 2,000-year-old city wall in Privernum, Italy. What they found overturned 2 centuries of assumptions. The lime clasts weren't made from slaked lime, the stable, pre-hydrated lime that every modern mason uses and that every historian assumed the Romans used. They were made from quicklime, raw, reactive, added directly to the dry volcanic ash before any water was introduced, a process called hot mixing. When quicklime contacts water, it releases enormous heat. The internal temperature of the mixture can exceed 200 degrees Celsius. Steam rises off the surface. The chemistry that happens at that temperature creates entirely different compounds. Calcium aluminous silicates that simply cannot form at room temperature. It is literally a different material at the molecular level, and the heat doesn't dissolve all the quicklime. Some of it survives, trapped inside the hardening concrete as those bright white lime clasts. Not mistakes, not sloppy mixing, dormant repair kits, waiting. Here is what happens when Roman concrete cracks, a fracture forms, rainwater enters, it reaches a lime clast. The water dissolves the reactive calcium inside the clast, creating a calcium-rich solution that flows along the crack path, filling the gap from the inside. Then it recrystallizes as calcium carbonate, a strong mineral that bonds to both sides of the fracture. The crack seals shut, but it doesn't stop there. The recrystallized calcium carbonate can also react with surrounding pozzolanic material to form additional cementitious compounds. The repair isn't a temporary patch, it's chemically identical to the original binding matrix. In some cases, the repaired zone becomes stronger than the surrounding material because the reaction fills micropores that existed since the original pore. Masick's team proved this in the laboratory. They manufactured concrete using the hot mixing method. They deliberately cracked it. They ran water through the cracks using a precise flow circuit. Within 2 weeks, the cracks had completely sealed. Water flow dropped to 0. An identical batch made the modern way with slaked lime never healed. After 30 days, no change. The water kept flowing through indefinitely. Every lime class distributed throughout Roman concrete is a dormant reservoir of reactive calcium. When activated by water entering a crack, it restarts the cementing process locally, exactly where the damage occurred. The concrete doesn't just survive damage, it responds to it. There was one lingering doubt about the hot mixing theory. The 2023 MIT study analysed samples from a single wall. Critics argued it could be a local anomaly. Maybe one builder used quicklime while the rest of the empire followed the standard method. Then archaeologists opened a time capsule in Pompeii's Regio 9 district. Excavators had been working through a block of residential buildings that were damaged by an earlier earthquake and undergoing renovation when Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD. The volcanic ash buried the neighbourhood in hours, and inside one particular house, it preserved something no one expected to find: an active Roman construction site. Not ruins, not finished walls, a job in progress. Workers had stacked ceramic roof tiles neatly against a wall, sorted and ready for reuse. Masonry tools lay where they had been set down. An area, used for transporting construction materials, sat nearby. Some walls were complete, others were half-built, the wet mortar still fresh when the ash entombed them. And on the ground, arranged in distinct piles, sat the raw materials the builders had been about to use, untouched since 79 AD. Professor Masick visited the site in early 2024. When he walked in and saw those material piles, he said tears came to his eyes. Everything was so vivid, so perfectly preserved. It felt as if Roman workers might walk back through the doorway at any moment. His team analysed everything: the dry raw material piles, the half-constructed walls, the fully finished walls. The findings, published in Nature Communications in December 2025, were definitive. The dry material piles contained quicklime that had been premixed with volcanic ash, dry, before any water was added. Exactly as the hot mixing theory predicted. And the analysis revealed something else. The volcanic ash wasn't a simple uniform material. It contained a diverse array of reactive minerals, multiple types of volcanic glass and mineral fragments, that reacted with the lime at different rates, meaning the concrete continued undergoing chemical changes for years, decades, centuries after it was poured. This is why Roman concrete doesn't just survive. It gets stronger over time. The volcanic ingredients keep reacting, keep mineralizing, keep filling pores. The material is chemically alive in a way that Portland cement could never be. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire collapsed, and with it, the large-scale production of pozzolanic concrete largely disappeared from Europe. But here's what most people get wrong about this. Medieval builders didn't lose the ability to make durable structures. They lost access to the specific volcanic resources and the centralized logistics networks required to transport pozzolana across the continent, so they adapted. Medieval construction shifted towards slaked lime combined with local sand and crushed aggregate. In the absence of volcanic ash, some builders used crushed terracotta, called testa tunsum, or plant ash as pozzolanic substitutes to give their mortars hydraulic properties. The great Gothic cathedrals, structures that still stand today, used lime mortars that remained relatively soft for decades after construction. This wasn't a weakness, it was a feature. That softness allowed the massive stone masonry to accommodate structural settling and deformation without brittle cracking. Thermal analysis of medieval mortars from English cathedrals confirms this. They remain yielding, absorbing the kind of microstress that would shatter modern cement. Medieval castles and fortifications used thick masonry with rubble and mortar cores. The 7th century floors at Liminge, the 13th century roof vaults of Salisbury Cathedral, built from hardened lime that is still standing 800 years later. Medieval builders preserved their structures not through self-healing chemistry, that was Rome's gift, but through massive dimensions, high-quality stone, and lime binders that avoided the rapid setting brittleness of modern Portland cement. Different approach, same result. Buildings that outlasted everything that came after them. In 1824, a bricklayer in Leeds named Joseph Aspdin patented something he called Portland cement. Within a century, his invention had conquered the world. And the reason wasn't that it was better, it was that it was faster. Portland cement gains the majority of its strength within 28 days. Roman concrete took months, sometimes years, to reach its full design strength. In a modern economy, a material that takes 5 years to reach peak performance is financially unviable for most commercial projects. So we chose speed. We chose the material that lets you pour a foundation on Monday and frame walls by Friday. And we got exactly what we paid for. A material that is chemically frozen once the initial reaction is complete, that has no reactive potential for self-repair. That relies on embedded steel for tensile strength, and then is slowly destroyed by that same steel as moisture inevitably finds its way in. Portland cement production now accounts for approximately 8% of global CO2 emissions and 3% of global energy demand. We pump billions of tons of greenhouse gas into the atmosphere every year to produce a material engineered to fail within a single human lifetime. The Romans built structures that last millennia using ingredients they found in the earth beneath their feet. We didn't progress past the Roman system. We abandoned it. The science is now confirmed. The recipe is known. 3 ingredients, 1 critical sequence. Ingredient 1, quicklime, calcium oxide. Not slaked lime, not prehydrated lime, raw quicklime, reactive, caustic, and ready to generate heat. This is the non-negotiable detail. Every recreation attempt for 200 years failed because researchers hydrated the lime first. The Romans did not. Ingredient 2, pozzolanic material. The Romans used volcanic ash from the Bay of Naples. If you don't live near a volcano, validated modern substitutes exist. Metakaolin, a calcined kaolin clay available from ceramic suppliers. Ground pumice powder. The key property needed is high silica and alumina content that will react with the calcium from the quicklime. Ingredient 3, aggregate. Crushed stone, gravel, broken brick or volcanic tufa. This provides the structural skeleton. Vary it based on what you're building. Heavier for foundations, lighter for upper sections. The sequence, confirmed by both the 2023 MIT study and the 2025 Pompeii excavation. Step 1. Combine quicklime and pozzolanic material dry. Mix thoroughly before any water is introduced. Step 2. Add water. The mixture heats up rapidly. Steam may rise. This is not a side effect, it is the mechanism. Step 3. Work the mixture into your form while the reaction is still active. The heat and ongoing chemical activity during this phase are what trap reactive calcium throughout the concrete. Step 4. Allow it to cure. Initial setting takes 7 to 14 days, but the material continues to strengthen for months, for years, for centuries. This is not fast. Portland cement sets in hours. Roman concrete takes days to reach initial strength and weeks to fully cure. But for a foundation you want your grandchildren to inherit, the calculation is completely different. The Pantheon is still standing after 1,900 years. The Pons Fabricius still carries foot traffic after 21 centuries. More than 42,000 American bridges are rated structurally deficient, and the newest of them are younger than the average Roman aqueduct. We had the answer. We chose to ignore it. Medieval builders understood something that the Industrial Revolution made us forget, that the best materials aren't the ones that are easiest to make. They're the ones that get better with time. The Romans didn't build for the next decade, they built for the next millennium. And the concrete they used didn't just hold their world together, it healed itself every time it cracked. Now you know the secret they buried for 2,000 years. The question is, what are we going to do with it? If this kind of buried knowledge matters to you, the things history forgot to tell us, hit that subscribe button. Every week we dig up what the modern world left behind. Not because the old ways were perfect, but because some of them were remarkably good, and we forgot to ask why before we threw them away. Drop a comment and tell me, would you build with Roman concrete if you could?